Welcome to episode 30 of the Talking Friars podcast. Back, the band is back together. Uh, Ben and Jacob here. Good series that I recapped yesterday. Series win against the Diamondbacks. Jacob was not here for the last two series or three series.
Three actually, yeah.
Three.
The
Okay.
whole homestand pretty much.
Yeah. So just a huge series sweep of the Reds, series sweep of the Dodgers, winning the series against the Diamondbacks, a 9-1 homestand. Real quick, just your thoughts on that, if what you saw from afar, and then we'll get into what the chunk of this episode is, which is kind of picking who we think should be an all-star for the Padres.
Kind of just thoughts on the whole homestand. I thought that we needed this after going 1-9 in the road series. I feel like first homestand with the full capacity crowd. All the Friar faithful were there. We got 9-1. Pitching does really good. Tatis is unbelievable. Cronenworth, that was amazing. He got that NL Player of the Week that I saw. Should be an all-star finalist, by the way, but that's another subject. But no, just overall, just great homestand. I wasn't able to watch a lot because Minnesota, they don't have Fox Sports or Valley Sports San Diego.
Yeah.
But I was able to look at a few highlights. I saw the Tatis, obviously that 3 home run game, which was unbelievable. We were all hoping he could go maybe get a 4th or a 5th since it was the 4th inning. That didn't happen. That's all right. Yeah, Cronenworth was clutch against the Dodgers. He owned that series, Cronenworth. Machado's making some defensive plays. I saw pitching's been all right. We did have that one really bad game against Arizona, that second game. But that's not too bad, considering that we go 9-1 and win the next game in a close one. Did see that Tatis error in that last game though. Just another error to the season, but he's making up for it with his bat, I think. Just overall thoughts though, great homestand. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be able to watch some games now. Hopefully I can get some, but yeah, just overall great.
Yeah, you mentioned the Tatis error, and he makes up for it. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, we were, saying, "Oh, this is going to be one of those things that might prevent the Padres from getting to where they want to be if he's making, 50 errors a year, which was what he was on pace of doing." He's been a lot better as of late. And so credit to him, credit to Bobby Dickerson for helping him out, credit to probably Machado for probably helping him out as well. Just the veteran leadership has to play a role in that. But most of the errors, again, it's just careless on his part, I think. And I think he would admit that it's not, the yips or anything like it was earlier in the year, in my opinion. I think it's just forcing things now.
Yeah, it's trying to do too much.
Those are the errors that you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just got Jacob's quick thoughts there. The main part of this episode, all-star episode here, just trying to determine each of us who we think should be on the all-star team come the middle of July in Denver at Coors Field. This is one of the more exciting times of the year. You get to display your team on national television in front of the entire country, the entire world, and especially now that we have the face of baseball on our team, I think that makes it that much bigger, especially for our city, and for obviously Tatis is going to be the center of attention alongside Shohei Ohtani. Those are going to be the two guys that are going to be talked about the most. You don't have Mike Trout there probably because he's hurt with the calf injury. So
Yeah.
this is going to be a big time for the Padres in general, led by Tatis, and that's where we start. So Jacob he has a couple names I think that he believes should be all-stars. I have my own list, and we'll get into that. So Jacob, who are your couple of guys that you think, or however many you think should be on the all-star team?
If we're talking just Padres, I believe obviously Tatis. He's gonna be an all-star. He has to be an all-star starter. That's what I should say. He has to be an all-star starter. That's what he's earned this year. I think Cronenworth should be an all-star. I said that earlier. He's been amazing. I don't know how he wasn't a finalist for something. He finished, I think, 5th or 6th in the voting, behind Gavin Lux, as you said, who's batting like 230. Like that's
Not even
okay.
playing every day.
exactly. Like that's disrespectful to Jake's, work this year. He's been amazing. Um, as for like guys that I think that like, on the fence a little bit, maybe Machado, Grisham, um, Myers, maybe. I wouldn't really consider him, maybe. Um, are we going over pitching too? If we want to
Yeah,
go over
everyone
pitching
on the
too,
team.
yeah. All right. I think the Padres could have at least or easily two starters in the All Star game, Darvish and Musgrove.
Mhm.
As for bullpen, you got to think Mark Melancon, leading the league in saves. Um, yeah, pretty much that wraps it up. There's not a lot in the field, I'd say. I think Tatis and Cronenworth are the two big ones. Maybe Machado, but he's been off and on at some points. But Melanson, I think, should be for sure in it, and I think Darvish for sure, and then Musgrove. I feel like they're just going to disrespect him in some way and not get him in, but I think he should be in that too.
Mhm. So I agree with most of that. My list to start off, Tatis, obviously, he's going to be the first Padres starting player in the All-Star game since Tony Gwynn did it in 1998. The first phase of the All-Star selection thing, the finalists, he was first at shortstop easily in the NL above Javi Baez and Brandon Crawford by like 1.2 million votes, which the system is stupid.
Oh
You
yeah,
go
it's
to the
bad.
second phase now, and now all those votes don't count. So let's say a casual fan, they saw the first phase vote and they don't even know that there's a second phase. Now you're losing those votes, or someone changes their mind or something, and picks Baez or Crawford, or maybe they go to a game or they watch a game and this guy hits 2 homers in a game and they're not watching Tatis play the Cincinnati Reds this week.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to hurt him. He won by 1.2 million. That's not a small margin.
No, that's a
So
landslide.
he's going to win it.
Yeah,
I was listening to the radio today and people were like, I don't want to be too confident. You can be confident. This
you
isn't
can be confident. Yeah.
this isn't any nail biter vote. So Tatis deserves it. The highest WAR in the National League among shortstops, 3.7 already this year. Or excuse me, 3.7. Um, yeah, he has a 3.7 WAR. That's zero point 0.7 wins more than the next NL shortstop. And that's entering Monday. All of these stats
Yeah.
that I read off is entering today's slate of games in the National League. Most homers in the NL, hit 3 home runs on Friday, which I was there for. That was probably the best Tatis moment I've seen live.
Lucky
Um,
man.
3 homers in the first 3 at-bats, sitting next to all the season ticket holders next to us. The reason why we wanted to stay there was because we wanted to see if Tatis could hit a fourth one. We didn't think he was going to get that fifth at bat late, it was a ground out to short. But 3 home runs, that's pretty impressive. I don't care if it's against the Diamondbacks, especially the third
Yeah.
one that went oppo. That's one of the deepest parts of the ballpark. Tatis has the highest slugging percentage and on base percentage among NL shortstops so far. Slam dunk. He's the face of baseball. There's no one that deserves to start over him. Um, even to be honest, even if like A-Rod was still playing with the Mariners, I think Tatis would beat him out. There,
Yeah, and that's crazy to
that
think
just
about
says
too.
so. That just says
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So Tatis slam dunk. Jake Cronenworth, you mentioned. I think he should be an all-star. Um, second highest WAR at 2.7 wins above replacement among all NL second basemen. Fangraphs has Max Muncy as a second baseman. That's the only reason why Cronenworth is second. Muncy plays first base when
Yeah, I
Albert
was
Pujols is not
confused.
playing first, so that's a little bit debatable there. But Cronenworth's second best average in the NL among second basemen, third lowest strikeout percentage, fourth in homers, which he bumped that up with 4 straight games with the homer over this homestand. In terms of all around players, this is what the main point that I wanted to touch on. In terms of all around players, there's no one in the NL of second baseman that you're gonna want over Jake. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Max Muncy has the homers. Ryan McMahon has the homers in Colorado. Adam Frazier might have like the batting average down there in Pittsburgh, but
Yeah.
he has respectable numbers all across the board, and not to mention he plays essentially every day. And that's all
Oh,
you
yeah.
want out. An all-star, you can have all these flashy numbers, but at the end of the day, if you're hurt, if you're just not playing every day, you're not suiting up every day. I'm sorry, but that kind of dings. That's a ding against you.
Yeah.
We had Tony Gwynn. I didn't have the luxury of watching him play in his prime or anything, but we had him, and he was big on playing every day. Manny
Oh, yeah.
Machado, the leader of this team, he's big on playing every day. Tatis, even when he was hurt, he went to Tingler and wanted to play like that day of the subluxation. So
Crazy.
you want to play every day, and that's definitely something that makes me want, or it should make everyone voting want Jake Cronenworth in there. Now, so I think Cronenworth should be in. I think he will be voted in because
Mhm.
it's not fans doing that for the reserves, for the bench
Mhm.
players.
Yeah.
It's coaches, players, I think writers maybe. So it's people that are more knowledgeable about these. They're not biased. I should put it that way. They're not as
Yeah.
biased as fans
Fans.
who Dodger fans. They have a big fan base, so they're just going to vote their guys. I'm guilty of that too. Me and Jacob, we both voted all Padres, but at the same time,
Yeah.
we still had a case for some of them, a better case than Dodger fans have
And
of
Dodger
Gavin
fans.
Lux,
Yeah.
who's hitting less than 230, not playing every day. But there's a reason why he's only getting normal playing time pretty much, kind of, at some level, I guess, this year, is because he wasn't great with the bat. He just struggled the first couple years in the big leagues, while Jake Cronenworth has done the opposite of that. He's hitting
Yeah.
third in the lineup. Gavin Lux is not doing that for the Dodgers. So what are your thoughts on Jake getting in? I think that he's going to get in because it's real baseball people that are voting him in for the bench
Do you
players.
think he's gonna start or no?
No. Well, he can't start because he's
Oh,
not in the
that's
top
right. He
three.
didn't
But
make the finals.
I
Yeah.
think he should be the first second baseman, maybe Albies if he doesn't start, but he should be the first second baseman out there after the starters exit.
No, I can agree with that. Yeah. I think he should have been as I said earlier, I think he should have been a finalist for the starter position.
Yeah.
I think it should have been between, you know, I think it should have been Albies, Cronenworth, and then Max Muncy if he's not listed as a first baseman. Um, Maybe Adam Frazier, but he doesn't really have those home runs. But I do agree with that statement that Cronenworth should be the first second baseman off the bench. Um, I think it's a no brainer. Who else would it be? Maybe Ozzy Albies, as you said. But I think he'll be voted as a starter in my opinion because he's been killing it.
Albies.
But yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
but I think that yeah, slam dunk for Cronenworth first bench bat at second base.
Yeah. And yeah, so we have Tatis, Cronenworth. We wanted it to be obviously them starting up the middle. I don't know how long the Padres are going to allow Dave Roberts to play Tatis. So that you could see it, in the third or fourth inning if they allowed it or whatever. But Cronenworth's not going to start, unfortunately, even though, he does deserve it. But moving on, my third guy that I think needs to be in is Yu Darvish. I don't think that that's any argument against that. I believe usually 10 starting pitchers in each league are voted on. And that's usually who comes in the game. Uh, it's usually not a ton of relievers until late in the game. Starters usually go 1 inning, 2 innings, maybe for a starter that is pitching on some rest or something. But Darvish is definitely going to be in there. He's going to be in that crop of starters, obviously, that are going to come in after DeGrom if DeGrom pitches, with Kevin Gausman, Zach Wheeler. Who else? Maybe I don't think Aaron Nola will make it, but Gausman and Wheeler are definitely up there with Darvish in terms of how they played this year, how they pitched this year. Darvish 8th in NL starting pitchers WAR, 9th in left on base percentage, 8th in K per nines, and he has 15 starts, so he's available. We mentioned this with Cronenworth and Tatis, suiting up every day. He hasn't gotten hurt. He's consistent. There's been one or two clunkers. That Houston start comes to mind, but other than that, I mean, he had his signature Padres start against the Dodgers. Striking out 11. He was absolutely phenomenal, guiding them to that win. He's just been everything that the Padres have hoped that that they wanted out of him, hope that the Padres organization hoped that they would get when they traded Davies and a couple prospects for Darvish and Caratini for that matter. But he's obviously not going to make it. But just great job all around from you, Darvish, this year. And then Joe Musgrove's the other starter, like you mentioned, that should get in, and I think he will get in. Sixth in K per nine this year, 10th in left on base percentage, fifth in strikeout percentage among NL starters. And obviously, having the no hitter is a big, big resume booster. Definitely with Padre fans, obviously, he's going to be a fan favorite for the rest of his career and
Oh yeah.
until he dies. I mean, that was a moment that we're never going to forget. The best moment probably I've had as a Padre fan because we haven't won.
Yeah.
And it was like winning a World Series. I mean, my mom was running out of the house and screaming, and it was just because it felt like to her, at least, that's what she was telling me, that since it never happened before, it was kind of like when Matt Kemp hit for the cycle. It was like, whoa, is this like what it's going to feel like if we win the World Series or win the NL pennant? Because it's never happened before. The NL pennant has twice,
Yeah.
but you get my point. We just never have won before. And so for that to happen and kind of check that off the list finally was definitely a great moment. And it's not just the no hitter, to be clear, what he's done this year. He's been just like you, Darvish. He's been the Blake Snell. Like
Yeah.
on paper,
He's
what
been
we were
consistent.
expecting, we were expecting Blake Snell to be this guy. Musgrove, we knew who he was, but he was with Pittsburgh, a rebuilding team, a bad team, so you didn't hear about him too much or think of him too much. But obviously, he's had a lot to deal with, being in San Diego. Probably has a lot of requests, but he's dealt with that tremendously, and he definitely should be rewarded with going to Denver.
100%. You nailed it right on the head. He's a Padres legend. He will be for the rest of his life. To touch on, that moment, I wasn't even able to watch it. That's just my luck. I was literally at a football game. I was playing that, and then I get off and I see my phone. It's blown up.
Mhm.
My friend at home, he was talking about, he was giving me the play-by-play. He was like, one more out, one more out, and then I saw the play. Jesse Aguilar called of that ground out shortstop to end the game. Caratini coming up hugging him. That just seeing the replay made me feel like we won a World Series because we never had that. But it wasn't just that moment, as you say. He's been consistent all year with it. He's been that second guy in the rotation, even though he's the third guy technically.
Yeah.
And he's been right there with you, Darvish, as the top pitcher on the team. I think they've been very close to each other. As skill wise, I know you, Darvish, is a little bit better. He's shown it this year. He's been our ace, but no slacking to Joe Musgrove. He deserves to be an all-star, and I do think that he will be.
Yeah. One more guy that I had in mind, Mark Melancon. Obviously, you touched on him leading the league in saves. He now has 24, I believe, after the Diamondback game. Obviously leads the NL in saves, like I said. 3 more than Kimbrel entering Monday. 7th in ground ball percentage among NL relievers, a 191 earned run average, 4th in win probability added. He's just been tremendous. Going into this year, Mark, there was, a big four really: Mark Melancon, Drew Pomerantz, Emilio Pagan, Keone Kela, who obviously has Tommy John. That didn't work out well, but um, those were the big four, at the back of the bullpen. That was arguably one of the strongest parts of our team, I thought, at least on paper going into the year. And Mark Melancon, it seemed, I think, like I heard at the beginning of the year, he was the only guy that was like not afraid to say, I want to be the closer on this team. Pomerantz, Pagan, and Keller were like, yeah, okay, I can be a closer, but I'm more than willing to go in whatever role Jace wants us to be in as long as we can win. And I'm not saying that Mark wouldn't have done that, but he's a veteran. He's veteran guy out of all of those guys.
Yeah, he's 37.
So he's definitely has experience. He pitched well with the Braves last year in the playoffs and all of last year. He caught on a little bit at the end of his Giants career. But he's been absolutely nails, except a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
of times, the Reds game, obviously. But people are going to forget that because of what happened in the bottom of the ninth inning. So he's basically capitalized on every save opportunity he's been in. And best reliever in the game right now. I think I feel pretty confident in saying that.
100%, no doubt. I mean, Kimbrel's a close second. You know, he's been good too. Former Padre too, as I might add. But Mark Melanson
That
has
didn't
been,
work out too
you know,
well.
no, we don't need to talk about that anymore. But Mark Melanson, he's the best reliever, best closer in the game right now. I think stat wise, you know, leading the league in saves. And you know, you kind of feel like, you know, you're confident that he can win this game. You know, he's had a couple slip ups, but you know that you don't really think about those when you think about, you know, his overall year. You think of, you know, him leading the league in saves, him getting those ground balls, getting those outs, below 2 ERA. You know, him being a leader, saying that he'll be the closer, he'll take on those high pressure situations to win the game. Um, you know, get the save in those save situations. You know, he's not blowing a ton of those. You know, he blew a couple, but you know, you don't think of that when you look at the stats, as I said. So yeah, 100%. You know, should be the first closer to be an All Star. I think. You know, maybe Kimber, but I don't think so. I think Melanson should get that locked up 100%.
Yeah, he should be closing the All-Star game if the National League's obviously winning. That's just how good he's been, and he's deserved it. So Mark Melanson there. So my 5 All-Stars that I think should be All-Stars and I think will be All-Stars: Fernando Tatis Jr., Jake Cronenworth, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, and Mark Melanson. Now, you mentioned that Machado might get in, Grisham maybe. Now, those are the 2 that I have on the fringe that
Yeah.
could get in if injuries happen, if guys don't want to play. First off, let's start with Manny. He's obviously the leader of this team. He's been a lot better as of late. He started off really slow. But I think the reason that he won't get in is not because of his defense. Obviously, it's tremendous. It's not even, I think, his numbers really. It's more just him. It's more of his numbers compared to the other guys.
Yeah.
Usually they carry 3 third basemen. So it's Arenado and Bryant. Those seems like the 2 slam dunks. Bryant's like an MVP candidate this year. He'll be starting, I would think. And then Justin Turner, I think, would probably be the 3rd one. He has slightly better numbers. If I remember looking last night compared to Manny. But to be honest, the real thing that I looked at is who the manager is, and it's Dave Roberts. So his player is Justin Turner. And so I think that he will make a strong case for Justin Turner to go over Manny, who's now his big rival. So that's just my opinion on that. I think that Manny's been great this year. I think the slow start will hurt him in this case. And obviously Justin Turner, this might be his last time being an All-Star. So I think that the league might look at that as well. Manny obviously has a lot more years to go and will have multiple All-Star appearances. So your thoughts on Manny? I think he's probably going to just miss out and could get in if injuries occur.
Well, yeah, you nailed it on the head there. Arenado, I think, is a guarantee to make it almost every year. Especially this year, he's killing it out there in St. Louis. Chris Bryant, as you said, MVP candidate. He's playing out of his mind. And Justin Turner, though, I can understand that. Is Ryan McMahon, is he listed as a second baseman or third baseman? He is, okay. Because that's the only argument I would have there is Ryan McMahon, because he's played really good.
He should be listed as a second baseman. I did on Fangraphs. He was a second baseman. He'll get into, I think, the 3 second baseman will be Cronenworth, McMahon, and then probably Albies. So yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, you know, Justin Turner, he's getting really old. Dave Roberts is the manager, which is kind of unfortunate for Manny. If it was anyone else, you know, he might have had, he would have had he would have had a much more stronger chance to make it than if it was Dave Roberts. Especially since he's a Padre too, as I might add. You know, that's it kind of sucks for him. But you can give it to Justin Turner, I think, and then Manny will get it a couple more years down the road. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, because if you look at next, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that Arenado and Bryant, you know, they're guarantees to make it. It's just between them.
Yeah, you look at next year too, or 2 years from this when Turner's retired. And the three guys, if Bryant stays in the NL, it's Manny, Bryant, and Arenado. Those are the three.
Yeah.
That's the class of the National League. Now, American League guys could come over in free agency or whatnot. But in terms of just this current construction of NL third baseman, Manny shouldn't have a problem getting in on the road. Trent Grisham is another one. He just simply hasn't played enough games.
Injuries, yeah.
I think that
Sucks for him.
it's that simple. Wins the Gold Glove last year. He's been tremendous. I think he he fits great at the top of the order, but Pham's been great as of late. Great center fielder of what we've seen, and people just love his personality and just how it seems like loose and relaxed he is at the box in the field, talking to umpires. Um, again, like I mentioned, it's just not playing enough games. I think that's the only thing that hurts him really. And then when you look at the in just the construction of the All-Star game in the outfield, it's not top three in left, top three in center, top three in right. It's top nine all around. So it's pretty much a party with right fielders. You know, you look at the nine that I saw in the top nine; those are all except Jock Peterson with the fan vote. Those are all pretty much going to get in.
Yeah.
You know, he's just simply not. He just hasn't played enough. And there's bigger names that the MLB wants to showcase. You know, you have Harper, Soto, Yelich, Acuna. Schwarber's been good as of late.
He's been killing it.
Juan Soto. You have who else? Jesse Winker, Nick Castellanos. Those are
Castellanos,
two MVP candidates. At least definitely MVPs of the NL Central if we're going to go by division.
Oh yeah.
So those guys are in front of Grisham. Who else? Bellinger, Betts. Those I know Bellinger hasn't played, but he's a bigger name.
Yeah.
Who else am I forgetting? The Nats. We already have Soto. Conforto might be looking at. You know, might be a name. There's just bigger names out there, and center field isn't that strong of a position, at least as strong as right field in the NL. And they just take the best outfielders.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what position. So you're not going to see a ton of left fielders. Really, it's just a class of right fielders, and I think that's where it hurts Grisham. Again, I think Grisham. I think he's still kind of low on the totem pole in terms of replacements, but he's first, obviously, in the Padres outfield.
Yeah, 100%. It sucks though for him because he was off to such an amazing start this year. You thought that he'd have a for sure All-Star game appearance, but then the injuries kind of killed him, and I can't even really confidently say that I would have him as a backup even now, just because of how much talent's out there in the NL and the outfield. Considering it's just top nine all around. I saw Castellanos and Winker live, and they both absolutely crushed it. But
Playing a bad team, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the Twins. They suck. But just they're just insane, along with a bunch of other outfielders. Bellinger in the time that he's played. I know he's played not a lot too, but he's actually, I think he's done better than Grisham. He's killed it. Just it sucks for him because of that, but there is a small chance that I think he might get in, but it's very, very low, I think.
Yeah. So Pham and Myers, obviously, if Pham had done this the whole year, he'd have a case. But he really sucked at the beginning of the year. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He knows that. Everyone knows that. I think the fans were too harsh on him. I was a Pham supporter. I think you were too. We knew he was going to come out of it. We saw the guy he was in Tampa. That's the guy he is right now at the top of the order. Myers, they're flip-flopping him and Pham. Myers started out good. Now he's kind of in a slump.
Yeah.
So that goes his chances of being an all-star. He won't be an all-star probably for the rest of his career. And it's not a reflection as much on him as just the young talent we have in this game, how talented guys are, the position he plays. But so Tatis, Cronenworth, Darvish, Musgrove, Melanson, those are my five. Do you have, of those five, do you think all five of those are good, or do you have maybe four getting it?
No, I think all those are kind of smack head on, 100% locks to get in the All-Star game as either a starter or a backup. Tatis, Cronenworth's the only, iffy one, I think, just because, he isn't a finalist for the starter. You never know how the votes will go. I do think he should be a lock in for that backup for second base off the bench. But rotation wise, Darvish and Musgrove, 100%. If you
Those are the
don't
only two
vote,
options.
yeah, if you don't vote them in, there's no reason for you to even vote. I mean, they're killing
Well,
it this year.
yeah. So, I mean, first, just looking at if they would get voted in, look at the 10 starters. Let's just name off 10 starters then. You think Darvish, or if you can name 10 guys that would deserve it more than them two in the NL, we can name a few, but I don't think we can get
Yeah.
to 10.
Oh, no.
DeGrom, Wheeler, Gosman.
Gosman.
And I'm not thinking not all of these guys deserve it more than Darvish, but just names that you can think of. So
Yeah.
DeGrom, Wheeler, who did I say? Gosman, Woodruff, Brandon Woodruff, Corbin
Corbin
Burns.
Burns.
I wouldn't say Scherzer. I don't think he's had that good of a
No.
year.
I can't even really name any, you know.
Oh, okay. We could go. Let's do the trio of Bauer, Kershaw, Bueller. I don't think they'll all get it, and I'm not saying that. I'm
No.
just trying to throw out names here. That's 8. Gosman's the only Giant, I think.
Mhm.
Giant starter.
Yeah.
No Diamondback, no Rocky, no Red, no Cardinal. Maybe Jack Flaherty. I haven't heard much of him though.
I don't think so. Though.
No, I don't
Because
think
wasn't he hurt earlier this year?
a little
Flaherty?
bit. I don't think
Yeah.
Nola will either.
No, he struggled. He had a couple games where he
Stroman,
struggled
I'll
really
say
bad.
Stroman.
Stroman's been
Stroman
really,
and
really
Walker.
good. Yeah.
Stroman and Walker are the only two guys that I can think of.
Yeah, but didn't Walker hasn't played a lot, has he? Considering
Not a
this year,
lot,
didn't
no.
he get?
But
Yeah,
again, I'm not saying these guys deserve it more, but I'm just trying to think of
just
names
naming
here.
thing. Yeah,
I can just think of, I mean, that's 10 or 11, and we had a hard time thinking of that.
yeah.
I mean, I had to throw in those 3 Dodger starters just because that's who we would have thought on paper going into the year, and that isn't really the case right now. I mean, Kershaw and Bueller hasn't Bueller gotten hurt a little bit this year?
Yeah, and Kershaw's had a couple games where he's struggled really bad.
Yeah, Bauer's good, but
Bauer's even had a couple games where he struggled pretty bad too.
I mean, Darvish and Musgrove have too, but I'm just they
Oh, yeah.
deserve it more, obviously, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they'll have too much trouble getting in. Maybe Musgrove would more than Darvish, obviously, but that's
Yeah.
all I can think of. Melancon's a slam dunk. He's the first
Oh, yeah.
closer, and like you mentioned, first reliever probably, along with Hader and Kimbrel and those guys. Tatis obviously starting. So those are the guys that we have. 5
Yeah.
guys. Now that's going to be a lot. I don't even know when's the last time we had 5 guys in an All-Star game.
Usually
so
we just get the one,
we get-
mandatory one.
Well, like 16 might have been the most. We had Rodney, Pomerantz, and Myers, right?
Myers, yeah.
That was
Mhm.
3. I think that's all we had there. But 5 this year. Hopefully, that's what we're thinking that's going to be. One more thing here. I did want to compare. So just 2 we're thinking would get in from the division. Dodgers obviously are probably going to have a lot. You think Mookie? I don't know if Bellinger will get in, to be honest.
That's a maybe. Yeah, that's on the fence.
So Mookie, Muncy, Lux won't because he's not going to win the vote.
I don't think Seager will either, to be honest.
No, he's hurt. Justin
Turner.
That's 3. Will Smith, I
Will
think.
Smith.
4. I'd say 2 of the 3 Dodger starters.
I'd say Bauer and Kershaw out of those.
Yeah, yes. So 6. I don't think anyone from the bullpen will. So I think 6 from them, and that's being generous, to be honest.
Yeah.
Giants, Posey,
Gosman, Crawford. I think Crawford should get in. He's kind of losing a little. He didn't really get a lot of votes though. I think Crawford should get in.
I can't think of
Really
anything
else. Yeah.
Stremski won't get in.
Maybe what's his name in the bullpen? They had a really good guy in the bullpen, I think. Is Tyler Rogers? Is he good? Tyler Rogers? Someone in the bullpen, I think, was pretty good.
The Marlins pitcher is good.
Oh, that's what it was.
He might be another one too. Starter.
So that's a stretch,
That 3 or 4 for the Giants,
Yeah.
6 for the Dodgers, 1 for the Rockies. 0 negative 1 for the Diamondbacks. Until Marte is hurt, so there's no one to do. And then in terms of the National League, so starters, it's probably going to be Soto? Maybe Soto. I don't know. Acuna
for sure. I think Acuna Castellanos and maybe in Soto.
Okay,
Soto
yeah.
or Winker.
Yeah, one of those two. Yeah, one of the Reds will start. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it'll be Castellanos.
because
He's been
fans
really good.
surprisingly they haven't just been voting for the bigger names. Sometimes they have,
Mhm.
but they've been voting for Winker and Castellanos. In the
Yeah.
American League, they were voting for Adolis Garcia, so they're voting for the smaller names,
Mhm.
which is most of them are just good. So outfield, yeah, there's the outfield. Infield, Tatis at short, Brian at third,
Ryan at third.
Albies at second,
Albies.
Freeman maybe at first. I don't know if he was winning the first base, and then Posey
I
at
wasn't
catcher,
sure
I would
about
think,
that. Posey, 100%.
because
And then
people are loving his resurgence.
yeah, and then I think DeGrom obviously starting.
Yeah, if he pitches, I don't even know if he'll pitch, to be quite honest. The Mets.
Well,
have
let's just say he
desperately-
will. I
Yeah.
think it'll be DeGrom. DeGrom or
Again,
Gosman.
he can't get voted. The pitcher isn't voted. That's the manager's decision.
Yeah.
And he obviously talks with every manager of every player to know if they can
Yeah.
play, what's their limits. So we'll see about that. If it's not DeGrom, I think it'll be Kevin Gosman. That's just
Kevin
my
Gosman. Mhm. That's what I'd say.
think. I know Darvish is up there, but I think that Gosman, maybe Wheeler. Has Darvish started an All-Star game? Maybe with Texas. I'm not sure.
Yeah, in his younger days in Texas, I think.
But so that's what we think the National League. I don't know if you pay
Over
attention
AO?
to the American League. Otani
I
DH,
got a couple.
I think he'll pitch maybe late in the game so they can get the couple of bats.
Do they have a backup DH? Do they have one off the bench? Or is it just one voted in?
Oh well, no. I think like JD Martinez could make it. I think that
Okay.
but I think most
'Cause
of
I
the
wasn't
time the
sure.
DH is just a position player that they can't find a position for.
Okay.
So Otani DH,
Mm-hmm.
Vlad at first. He's been awesome this year.
100%.
Second base isn't very strong. DJ LeMahieu hasn't even had a great year.
No.
I'm blanking on who even won that second base vote today. Marcus Semien maybe.
Semien, yeah, I'd say him. And then
At short,
Bogarts
I
and
think
Devers.
Bogarts third, Devers.
I'd say
I
Devers,
think.
yeah.
The outfield, Trout won't play, but he's going to get voted in just because of the big name. He has
Yeah.
a calf injury. I think Judge
I
will
saw
probably
people
get
were
in.
voting for Buxton too,
Yeah,
which was kind of weird. Yeah.
I think the vote will be Buxton, Trout, and who am I forgetting?
Adolis.
No. He was
No?
fifth.
Oh, that sucks. He was good.
You said Trout, Buxton, and then who's the other? Who am I forgetting?
I'm blanking. I don't know.
Verdugo, maybe?
Is he a center? Is he listed as center field?
Well, it doesn't matter, but
Oh yeah, that's
I
true.
think so. I think so.
Yeah, I'd say him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got
So-
Judge out and right. I
Yep.
think. Who's in left? I don't even know.
I mean,
I'm blanking. You know, we're an
Cedric-
NL team.
Cedric Mullins, he's had a good year. He's
Yeah,
not-
I'd like him. He's an underdog.
yeah. Who else?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much. And then
Yeah.
starting for the AL is Otani.
Would you even?
That
Yeah.
would
Would you
be
even?
their ideal guess.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen.
Do you even put Cole starting?
I
Or-
can't
'cause
put Cole.
No.
I don't like Cole anymore. Because of what
He's a sicky stuff guy. Yeah.
he doesn't deserve to be starting the All-Star game
Mhm.
after these last few starts.
No.
Excuse me. Who would do it then? American League.
I'm blanking. Hold on.
No one in the AL West. Shane Bieber. I haven't heard much of him though. Red Sox starter maybe. Has anyone?
Well, not really. You know, Nathan Eovaldi, I guess.
no.
Yeah, but I don't know about that.
Yankees? No. Rays could have been Glass now, but he's hurt.
That sucks. He was doing really, really good.
Yeah.
All the really dominant pitchers are in the NL.
White Sox. Giolito maybe.
Yeah, but he's kind of struggled a little bit too in a
Lance
couple games.
Lynn.
Yeah.
Keuchel.
They don't list pitchers.
Yeah, I'm blanking on AL starters. I mean, you have the big names, Cole and Bieber and Glass
Mhm.
now, but after that, it's kind of weak.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, there's some like really, really, sleeper picks that are like, who? Like,
Yeah.
because they have to have 10.
Carlos Rodon was good this year.
Rodon's been really good. Yeah, he's
In
been
terms of
really good.
starting, that's what I'm talking. They want a big name. They're not going to want Carlos Rodon starting the All-Star game.
Yeah. Yikes, man.
Benjamin Liu?
Yeah. Phew. That's a tough one because I have no clue. We're an NL team, I guess. I guess I don't follow the AL as much
I
as
mean,
I
I
thought.
follow baseball, but I'm just blanking
Yeah.
on what names because Cole's probably going to get it just because he's a big name. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to decide pitchers that deserve it. I don't think Cole deserves it right now.
I don't think so either. I mean, he's a cheater. And I don't think he deserves to be starting at all.
Yeah.
Is I mean maybe Greinke? No, I wouldn't. I don't
Yeah,
know about
no.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Bieber healthy? I don't even know if he's healthy.
Oh, he's on the IL right now.
Yeah, we're just talking about guys that aren't even healthy right now.
Yeah, like that's crazy. Oh, maybe like Sean Manaea, like on the A's. Yeah, that I got no clue on that. That's a tough one.
Let me look. Let's see. So
It's gonna bug me, man.
that's pitching. Okay, so Kyle Gibson has a 2 ERA for Texas. Lance Lynn, 206. All these guys I'm scrolling down are all NL pitchers that we talked about. Wheeler, Musgrove, Walker, Darvish, Stroman, Bueller, Bauer. There's Cole at 266. Glasnow's hurt. Another NL. Sean Manaea, 291. So again, my best guess is Cole because he's the biggest name. Lance Lynn, maybe.
Yeah, Bleacher Report has Lance Lynn starting.
Yeah, like you don't want
That's what they
Kyle
said.
Gibson. You don't want Kyle Gibson
No.
starting the All-Star game. So yeah. All right. Well, and then relievers for the AL, that's week 2. Liam Hendricks is about it. And then Matt Barnes,
Matt Barnes, I would
Chapman
say.
has really struggled as of late.
Yeah,
Raisel Iglesias only has 13 saves. Old friend Ian Kennedy has 13 saves. Yeah, wow. All right, well,
Is the AL that bad?
at least they're good
Compared to the
position
NL.
wise, I think, but pitching
Pitching's
wise,
like,
it's
ooh.
not very strong. Yeah. So all right, well, NL definitely, at least as we're discovering
Yeah,
right
I
now, is
think
a little
so.
bit stronger than the AL, at least on paper. Yeah. All right. Well, so those are our big 5 starters for the Padres, like you mentioned: Tatis, Cronenworth, Melanson, Musgrove, and Yu Darvish. Jace Tingler probably will coach the game, I would think.
Yeah,
Right?
I think so.
They bring the World Series champ and then he picks like a few minutes. Oh, maybe it won't be then. If Dave Roberts is
Dave
picking.
Roberts, yeah.
But so maybe Tingler will coach that game. Who knows? Yeah, so that's pretty much the episode. I hope everyone enjoyed. Anyone else that you wanted to mention on all-star worthy guys?
I think we nailed them all. I mean, we listed almost every AL person possible, it seems like. And half of them are hurt. It's crazy.
Yeah, Kevin Cash will be the AL manager because they made it to the World Series for the American League. Probably Dusty Baker, unless he wants to go chill out over the All-Star break. He might coach with Kevin Cash. Brian Snitker for the Braves or something. So there's that. That's our All-Star episode. That was fun trying to picking out who would be on the All-Star team for the Padres. We'll see if we were correct when all things come out. I believe this weekend All-Star teams will be selected. Starters are unveiled like Friday or Saturday. And
Mhm.
then the reserves are, I believe, revealed Sunday Night Baseball, Baseball Tonight on ESPN before that Sunday night game. Um, Padres, real quick, they start a series with the Reds tomorrow, 3 games there. Then they go to Philadelphia, which I believe will be on national TV Saturday, to face Bryce Harper and the Philadelphia Phillies. And then on to
Whew.
Washington, their third leg of the 3-city road trip to face Juan Soto, Steven Strasburg. Is he hurt?
I don't know.
Max Scherzer and
He's
the
hurt half the
Nats.
time.
Yeah, so it's gonna these the I saw Dennis Lin wrote, I think, like up till September, the Padres only face like 10 teams with winning records, or have 10 games or something against guys with winning records, and the Giants have way more, Dodgers have way more. So our schedule is definitely winding down in terms of competitiveness, at least on
Yeah.
paper, before it gets playoff tough in September, which
Yeah.
is absolutely brutal. Um, so this is where the Padres got to rack up their wins, because if they don't, they might be in trouble in terms of the division when it comes September. So that's the episode for
Mhm.
today. Thank everyone for listening, watching on YouTube if you are.
Yeah.
We'll be back to recap the Cincinnati series. Hopefully, if they get a series win out of that, at Great American Small Park, as I like to say, get some homers out of that. And until then, this has been episode 30 of the Talking Friars podcast from Ben and Jacob. Until then, till we talk to you next, let's go Padres.